Hey folks, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. I'd like to show you the real truth of a YouTube garden. At least my YouTube garden. Here's a hint. It's not pretty right now. Let's go take a look. You know, YouTube gardeners show their gardens off. Usually they like their gardens to look good. And in the springtime, when we plant our seeds and all the seeds come up, it's freshly prepared soil. There's not a lot of weeds around. All the borders are nice and kept. Things look great, and I love a garden at that time. My favorite garden is the fall garden. In the fall, everything has been, again, prepared and nicely nicely sowed, and all the plants come up, and there's very little weed pressure in the fall, especially those weeds that I can't stand, like nutsedge and morning glory vines. But the fall garden is a beautiful thing. It's my favorite garden, and I love to show off the beauty of my fall garden. But folks, right now it's the middle of summer. We've been in a heat wave and a drought, and all you guys across the country know about this heat. I mean, it's hot. My garden doesn't look good at all. And I want you to know that even though I am a YouTube gardener and my garden goes on YouTube for all the world to see, sometimes it's pretty ugly. And right now is one of those times where it's ugly. And I've always said it's okay if your garden is kind of ugly. It doesn't mean you're a bad gardener. It just means that circumstances come around where the garden goes through different phases and seasons. For me, the summer garden is almost a time where I take a break. I throw some things out there that I know are going to make it through the summer, like some okra, some peppers. Sometimes I'll do sweet potatoes, although my sweet potatoes this year, kind of a disaster. I'll tell you about that some other time. But other things are doing fine, like the peppers, like the okra. But a lot of things aren't doing fine, and that's okay. I treat the summer as kind of taking a break. I throw those plants out there, and they're on their own. That means that there's going to be a lot of weeds out there. I haven't had the opportunity this year to really spend a whole lot of time in my garden preparing for summer planting and summer harvesting and weeding and tending and maintaining. And that's because life has taken turns that kept me away, right? My daughter got married, I had a house renovation. Lots of things happened like that, big things, big family things. And you know, sometimes the garden takes second tier, but that's okay. We could clean up the weeds. We could go through and flame weed the whole thing. And I'll tell you, though it looks ugly now, the fall garden is going to be as beautiful as it always is, because we'll go in there when the weather is, well, we're going to have to start the fall garden in the blazing weather anyway. But we're going to go in there and flame weed everything and get that soil looking good and mend everything, and it'll be nice. So I wanted to show you around what a true YouTuber gardener has in his backyard in the middle of summer on the Texas coast here. A lot of other YouTube gardeners are on top of their game right now. I don't happen to be. So that's reality, and I want to be open and share it with you. So let's take a look around maybe. So these guys here, these weeds, they're everywhere. I hate them. And this grass gets rooted down in there. Yeah. It's just not been a good year for keeping weeds out of the garden. I mean, look at that. Now, I knew this was going to be a weedy mess. That's life. And there's still lots of tomatoes down in here. Tons of these tomatoes down in here. So, weeds or not, we're getting tomatoes. Getting these peppers. Lots and lots of them. But, yeah, this is the bad part right here. Bare soil. That's not encouraging, is it? It's all right. Come the fall, it'll look just fine. Lots of cayenne peppers. Tons of them. This is always encouraging during the summertime. If you've got a bunch of discouragement going on, make sure you've got some peppers planted. Some chilies. They'll do good in the summertime. Okay, we're out here checking 3 days later. Looking for any caterpillars that survived the BT, biological warfare. I'm having trouble finding some. Every now and then I find a dead one like that one there. You can see the damage they've done. But we've stopped the damage with time to get the grapes ripened. There's going to be enough foliage on here. Look at this leaf all damaged like that. There's a dead one right there. You can see that guy. Dry it up. Most of them fall off when they die. They no longer are here. So everywhere I'm looking, I'm not seeing. Even their little egg cases are falling off. I got some snarky comments from some folks saying you should read the back of the... There's one right there. That one's still alive, but he'll be dead soon enough. It's the only one we found. And he's gone. Yeah, the snarky comment saying you should read the back of the instructions and they'll tell you these things. You know, friends, I did read the instructions. I'm not an idiot. Been using these products for many, many years, and yeah, the back doesn't say anything about shelf life. It does say store in a cool, dry place, as most insecticides do. But you know, sometimes you don't do that. Sometimes you leave it in your yard, in the backyard, you leave it out in the sun. But no need to be snarky about it all, you know. Commenters, I love comments. Except when you get snarky. You get snarky like that, you get banned. Alright, so I can't find any of these caterpillars on our grapevines now, so we're going to call that a success. We've saved the harvest this year, yet again. Yeah, more reality. Look at the damage from the heat, the weeds. Those tomato plants are toast. I've removed these guys right here. And all along here, weeds and crops taken out. Cucumbers. Well, harvested my pickles from them, but the rest of these cucumbers in here are a bit too ripe. We'll save some for seed maybe. But these got to come out too. They're pretty much toast. Beans over there looking terrible. Those are pole beans, rattlesnake pole beans. They're supposed to be summer tolerant, but we've had a drought. Look at them. They're looking terrible. Look at the weeds. Everything's ugly. The only good thing going right now is the peppers. They're growing great. That garden bed back there, that's basically a weed bed. I've got some beans back there, some lima beans that are shooting up over the weeds. We got to get those on a trellis. And those tomatoes over there, all those are coming out too. Peppers are doing great. Can't argue about peppers. But yeah, it's not all pretty. It's not all pretty. Let's go look at this blackberry bush. Isn't that a sorry looking thing? This was very productive this year. But all of these dead vines you see here, these are second-year vines that produced. Now that they've produced, there's no reason for them to live, and they kind of die off. And of course, the drought is helping this plant kind of slough off and get rid of these canes here. So we'll prune all these out. And all these canes here, these healthy ones, these are next year's fruiting canes. They're doing fine. Got some rain last night, long awaited rain, and we got more this week, so these will do fine. You can see they did suffer a bit from the drought, but they'll pull through. These things are virtually impossible to kill. You're just going to get alarmed when you see these that have fruited dying back. That's normal. Got some okra coming up. Now, I didn't water this okra but once, and it's done quite nicely on its own. It's a summer hardy plant. So we'll let a little bit of okra grow in there. I'm going to plant some other down in here and put some sweet potatoes in here too. But yeah, just a little bit of okra on the end here. That'll keep me into enough okra to pickle. Garlic was a huge fail this year. It got too hot and it did not bulb up the way I wanted it to. So we got some green garlic out of it, got a few bulbs. The only thing growing here right now are some chives. So this bed is ready to receive something for the summer. The citrus. The citrus is doing well. We've got some fruit there. Those are going to be blood oranges, I believe. Yep. And this tree, although it got bent over a few years back, it's still doing just fine. I have not noticed any leaf miner damage in these trees, which is unusual for citrus in my area. Although something's eating this leaf. we got around here. Kind of hard to tell. But yeah, citrus is doing really well. The figs are doing pretty good, considering the last couple of years they've had, but figs are doing great. I got weeds in my containers here I got to deal with. Lots of fruit coming in on some of these fig trees. These make me happy. So these are a success. So far, so good with all the fruit trees. They're nice and lush, nice and green. These citrus trees, this one especially, had struggled a bit, but it's greened up. The Barbados Cherry there in the back, really bushing out like crazy. I'm going to do something with that tree to keep it small because I don't want a gigantic tree in these pots, although it's a good sized pot for that tree. All my apple trees doing fairly decent. I'd like to see more growth out of them. They do grow at different rates, it seems. This one's putting on a lot of growth in its second year. That one over there, not so much. I'm going to need to take some of that growth off the bottom because that is from the rootstock. So that's keeping the top, obviously. It's taking resources. This one here, not a whole lot of side growth. Now we did, in fact, prune where we wanted side growth to come out, but it's just not very vigorous because of the drought. And this one has been attacked by certain pests that we've sprayed for. They were black aphids. This one's doing all right over here, but you can see they need some water. Next couple of days, we'll get some good rain, get some good water. This one's branched out right where we wanted it to. I'd like to see a little more growth, but I'm going to weigh these down, keep them a little horizontal. So yeah, the fruit trees, not too bad despite the drought in year 2 for these apples. Peach tree, well, it's a peach tree and it's looking good. Putting on growth. I mean, this thing was trimmed all the way back to basically a stick in the ground and has put on good growth this year. And the plum tree, likewise, lots and lots of growth. We'll need to prune that. I'm not going to summer prune this year. Summer pruning is how you stunt the growth of your plant to keep it small. And right now is the time we would do that. But I need a little more structure on this one here. So we'll summer prune next year. And we will winter prune for shape to keep that open. Kind of like a goblet shape. We've got some branches growing inside that we'll take out. But yeah, I'm pleased with the progress of that tree. It suffered for a while. That's actually a 2-year-old tree, and it should have been a little bit larger, but hey, you know, there you go. I'll take what I can get. Awesome. So amidst all my weeds, and this is a very weedy garden, and I haven't cut my path. Ran out of juice in the weed whacker the other day. But anyway, the peppers, like I said, they're doing great. These kind of fell down because of the weight. These are mountain roaster peppers, and they're a nice pepper. Really have been enjoying those. Poblanos, like I said in my last tour, they're a little small, but there's a lot of them. They're super small, and I don't know why. So, yeah, this variety, probably not going to grow it again. Well, Phoebe has found an opossum. It's a young opossum. It's not an old one. Hello, little fella. You better move on. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's it. I hope you're not hurt. You know, it's going to be July soon. And July is kind of the beginning of the hottest part of our season here. July, August, and September. Those are going to be miserable months. They're also the tropical storms and hurricanes months. So there's no telling what we're going to face in this coming summer. I mean, summer's here, but for us, it's gonna be a very hot one. So I'll keep growing, I'll keep gardening, and I'll keep making videos to show you things. But they're not going to be pretty videos. It's just the way it is in the garden here. They're not going to be beautiful gardens like the fall garden or the spring when the spring garden is lush and all the tomatoes are ripening on the vine. It's not going to be quite like that, but that's all right. Doesn't mean it's not a successful garden. We're going to be growing some summer crops like okra. I've already got some out there you saw. I'm going to grow some more okra too so that I can pickle okra. I love pickled things. I love to ferment. You can grow some things through the summer, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. But it's just not as pretty as the spring and fall. And that's all right. Just want you to know the truth about at least my YouTube garden, it's not always ideal. So yeah, thank you so much for watching these videos, for making this channel a success, because it's you guys watching that makes it a success. I'm just some guy gardening in my backyard. So hey, thanks for joining me today on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Just a video to tell you what's going on and a little look around to see how the summer is affecting our garden. And well, I appreciate it. So happy gardening to you. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.